Hey guys, it's Diabetic Girl, and today I wanted to do something a little different because normally when I talk about my diabetes, I'm sort of very open-ended about it, and I always state all the good things about diabetes, but I realized that I've never actually talked about how hard my childhood was, and I don't think I ever realized that until someone today asked me if I felt that diabetes actually deprived me of a childhood and my childhood innocence. So, this is my personal point of view. You guys don't have to agree with it, but this is just how I feel about it. And, it's different for every person, and I can completely understand if you don't agree. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to send a picture of my necklace to one of my friends. So, as you guys know, I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 21 months old. So, at that point in time, I was barely old enough to talk. I mean, I did do some talking. I was walking, but not at the time that I was diagnosed because I had lost so much weight and so much muscle. I just could not walk. So starting from right then and there, I have to say, yes, it deprived me of my childhood right then and there, from that moment forward, because, I was 2. I lost all ability to walk. I had to go to physical therapy for months at a time to learn how to walk again. And it made me horrified any other time that I would get sick. That alone would just freak me out, knowing that if I got sick again, I would never be able to walk again. And that, being a 2-year-old, is scary. And not to mention, being a 19-year-old mom, that's gotta deprive you of the little bit that's even still left of your childhood, even though you're a legal adult. That's got to do something to you, because my mom was only like 19 when I was diagnosed. And, so that's going to be hard on her. Now, my diabetes was kind of okay for about 6 months after that, and then I had diabetic ketoacidosis at least every single holiday. Every single one. Like, I would spend Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve, even my birthday in the hospital. Oh yes, I spent my 3rd birthday in the hospital. Woo! So that right there, and this went on for a couple of years, which kind of scares me, but that just kind of shows you the technology and how hard it is to maintain a 3-year-old. And that actually really scares me, knowing that, for so long, I was in a hospital, and it wasn't like stints of 1 or 2 days. Oh, no, God, no. It was stints of 4, 5, even 6 weeks, because my parents had such a hard time controlling my diabetes. And that scares me. And right then and there, that just proves that spending up to 6 weeks in a hospital when you are 2 and you have no control over it, there you go. I bet that I saw things in that hospital that I didn't need to see. My mom always tells the story about when I was first diagnosed. She was we were in a room with 3 other girls. They were all my age. One of them had leukemia, another one of them had another type of cancer. They all had cancer, and they all had about 6 more months left to live. Now, if I hadn't been diagnosed sooner, it would have been the same case for me. Why should a 2-year-old and their parent, or now 17 with my mom, have to look back on that and think, gee, we were real lucky then, weren't we? I feel like these are things that no one should ever have to experience, and I don't know what happened to those girls in that room, but that alone just goes to prove that not only had I lost my childhood innocence at that point in time, because I was a sort of smart baby, but so had they. And what kills me about them is that they probably didn't live to see 3. And that alone, knowing that could have been me if we were an hour late, kills me right there. There is basically the death of my childhood. And so moving on from that point, back to when I was 2, 3. So literally being on the brink of death at least once a month is not normal 3-year-old behavior. I basically, let's just put it this way, if I was now this age and that was happening, I'd be put on suicide watch. I'd probably be in an institution for the rest of my fucking life. Okay? So knowing that this is happening when you are 2 or 3 is a lot harder. Right then and there, I could have lost my childhood. I could have lost my innocence. But that wasn't me. I kept pushing. I had to. And by the time I was 4, I was fine. I wasn't spending every 20 days in the hospital. It wasn't happening. I was under control. Now, when I was 5 and I entered kindergarten, that is when I definitely started to see that it had taken a toll on my childhood and what it was doing to me. Because I walked into school, I walked into kindergarten, and here I was. I seemed so much more mature. I knew what medical stuff was. I knew far more about diseases than anyone in my class. I bet you guys can't say that. And knowing that that's the way it was is just heartbreaking within itself. It was very hard for me to have play dates because I couldn't leave my parents, my mom, for, more than a couple of hours. They'd have to all be at my house, and, I'd have people be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And at school, at that age, you're going down to the nurse, every time you have to check your blood sugar, especially with the laws back then. So no one even thought of it. They just thought I was maybe go to the bathroom or something. And then when they come to your house and they realize you're not going to the bathroom, that's embarrassing. I tended to have a very big mouth when I was a kid. I still do. So it's not like I didn't tell people, but it was hard. It was extremely hard. And, I feel like so much more could have been done, but it just wasn't. I basically, at the age of 5, had to be able to check my blood sugar, give myself shots, give myself shots, and know when I felt high or low. That's hard to do when you're 5. You don't know yourself that well. I mean, now I can do it like that, I know when I'm low. Most kids have a hard time doing that. I see kids at camp who even have a hard time doing that. And, it makes me feel so awful. It's you still have a childhood, but it's not what it could be, if that makes sense. And so then, after that, all was well for a couple of years, things worked out a little bit better. It was okay. And then when I was 8 is when it kind of hit me again. So 8, let's see, 3rd grade? 3rd? I think so. So you guys all know that when I was 8, that's when I went to diabetes camp. Well, or maybe, I think it was a few days shy of being 8, maybe. A few months, maybe. Something like that. So I went to diabetes camp, as you guys know, and I realized that, it's okay. Whatever, this is normal. Thank God I noticed that, because otherwise I wouldn't have been this same person, you know what I mean? So, I come back and I feel a lot better about it. But then, I'm sitting there and I'm watching my friends who get to do whatever they want and all that. And look at me. Wow, I'm 250. Let me stop everything and try to make myself pee. Please wait. Do you know how awkward that is? Especially because when you're 8, 9, or 10, you just want to fit in. Being different was weird to me. And, I just couldn't do that at all. And it was really hard. There were a lot of times when I was younger that I wouldn't tell anyone. And even if they asked, I still wouldn't say anything. It was this big secret. One person in my entire grade knew. Big secret. And even Johnny, him and I were best friends, that's when we met in the 3rd grade, I literally didn't tell him until we were in the 5th grade. Didn't even bother because I was so freaked out that another person would be like, oh my God, you're so weird. Anyways. Ooh, you hear that? So 4th grade. Okay. That was sort of when it hit me. Again, it seems to hit me a lot, don't you think? So in the 4th grade, on the first day of school, I actually passed out from nerves and insulin. And right then and there, looking back on it now, I don't think it hit me as hard as it did, like when I think about it, because that was another point in time where I was weird, and I didn't want to be that weird kid, and I felt like it was just taking it away from me, and like taking normalcy away from me, and maybe that's what I needed to feel like I had a childhood. I mean, I know that I had a childhood, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I don't know how to explain it. And so, after that, a lot of people, I was surprised, they actually respected me, and we did an all about me bag in like that next week. And my teacher had Crohn's disease, and I didn't know that. None of us would have. And that was sort of one of those moments where I felt like I was not alone again. Like that was another one of those like camp moments, like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not suffering this alone. There is someone else who is different like me. And that made me feel normal, I guess. And I mean, nothing really happened after that. I mean, middle school was kind of weird too, because I went to a charter school, and it was just weird because as much as I still wanted to hold on to those moments of a child, I was still becoming a teenager, and it was really hard for me to sort of let go of the childhood that had been polluted by diabetes, basically. I hadn't been able to have a sleepover with friends until I was, I think, like 13, because, my mom didn't trust any of my friends' parents. I couldn't even, by the time I was like 14 is when I could go to my friend's house. Even my mom has trouble with it now. I go to Bong almost every single day, and my mom is just now okay with it. I sleep over Bong all the time, and my mom is just now okay with it, and I'm 17 years old. So it's like you look at a childhood that's been polluted by diabetes, and while I would love to say it didn't ruin my childhood, because it definitely didn't, it made it different. I didn't have a normal childhood. And I think that I just wanted that normalcy of knowing that, like, it was okay, I guess. I think that's what I wanted. I really think it is. And, looking back on it now, I'm going to be an adult in exactly 6 months. And it's like I look back on it now, I'm like, well, did I ever actually have a normal childhood, or was it polluted by diabetes? And of course it was. It always was. But when I went to camp, did I think of myself any less? No, I thought of myself even more. And that sort of helped me function and learn with the diabetes and make it okay, if that's how you want to phrase it. Now I look at it and I see all these kids at camp, and I am just so happy that they have the childhood I could never have. Because when I was a kid, pumps were surgically implanted. My mom and I didn't want that for me. Now, they're just, boom, and you take them out every 3 days. Meters are so much smaller and easier to hide in backpacks. It's all evolved so much, and I'm so happy that they get to do everything that I couldn't, because that makes me feel good about what I'm doing. And so with that, going to let you guys go. Thanks for listening and supporting me through my journeys, and I will hopefully post a less serious vlog later. So once again, don't let yourself think that you don't have a childhood, and you have one. You just have diabetes too, and you gotta let them go hand in hand. And also one last thing, I feel like I kind of think I might have touched on it, but not really. This is like a 15-minute video, so I'm not really sure. So while I think that my childhood innocence was lost at a very young age, I think there have been points in time where I still had it. And I just think it wasn't lost because of the diabetes. It was lost because of the things I learned that I feel I didn't have to learn at such a young age, if that makes sense. So, on that, I'm officially going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for supporting me. You guys make me feel so great about what I'm doing, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!